Let's talk about the future of work, specifically where AI and talent are set to collide inside the world of procurement. Because trust me, by 2026, the landscape is going to look completely different, and we're going to break down exactly what that means for you and your team. Okay, so let's just jump right in with a big question for you. Think about it for a second. Looking just a couple years down the road, what do you think is the single biggest threat facing your team? Go ahead, get an answer in your head. So, what'd you come up with? I'm going to guess that if you're like most people, your mind probably went straight to technology. You know, automation, generative AI, this idea that the machines are finally coming for our jobs. But that's kind of the easy answer. The real story here, well, it's a lot more nuanced. And the true challenge isn't what you might expect at all.
To really get what's going on, we have to start by understanding the incredible pressure that chief procurement officers, the CPOs, are under right now. Their dilemma, really, is what's shaping the future for everyone else.
And here is the absolute heart of that pressure. A whopping 55% of procurement leaders say that cost reduction is their number one, top-of-the-list priority for 2026. That is almost 4 times higher than the next priority. Everything, and I mean everything, flows from this relentless drive to cut costs.
So how are they going to do it? How do they deliver those kinds of savings? Well, they're pulling 2 main levers. As you can see right here, team and talent is number 1. But look what's right behind it, digitization. And this sets up the central tension we're talking about, people versus technology. Are they competitors or are they partners? All right, let's look at that technology piece first. Because AI isn't some science fiction idea anymore. It's here, right now, acting as a co-pilot and totally changing how procurement gets done. And to make this real, let's just look at the pharmaceutical giant Roche. They helped create an AI-powered sourcing platform they call One Marketplace, all designed to make their buying process way better. And this isn't some test program, it is a real-world tool that is delivering results today. And get this, the results in just 18 months were, well, they were huge. The platform processed over 25,000 orders, delivered double-digit savings, and seriously boosted productivity. But here's the crucial part. It freed up the human team to stop doing grunt work and start focusing on higher value, more strategic projects. And look, Roche isn't some outlier here. This is a trend happening all across the industry. We're seeing heavy AI adoption in areas like spend analysis and contract management. You know, the really data-heavy stuff that AI is just perfectly built to handle.
Okay, so when you see all this automation working so well, it brings us right back to that big kind of nagging human question. With AI taking on more and more, what in the world does this mean for our jobs?
Well, you might think people are panicking, right? But check this out. This data is pretty surprising. The procurement professionals themselves, they seem pretty confident. A combined 74%, that's nearly 3 out of 4 people, think it's unlikely their role will be replaced by AI anytime soon. That flies right in the face of the whole robots are coming for us narrative. So what's the reality from the top? Well, for the first time ever, CPOs do expect team sizes to shrink a little bit, on average by about 1.8%. But here is the critical point. It's how it's going to happen. This isn't about layoffs. It's about attrition. It means simply not replacing people who decide to leave. The end result? A smaller, yes, but much more strategic team. And this brings us to the absolute core message of this whole explainer. The real threat from AI isn't job replacement, it is job readiness. The challenge isn't about the number of jobs available, it's about having the right skills to actually do them in this new world.
So what skills are we talking about? Well, as AI takes over the routine, repetitive tasks, the value shifts to the things that are uniquely human. Just look at the top 3 skills that leaders identified as highly important for the future: collaboration, communication, and problem solving. Yep, the so-called soft skills are quickly becoming the new hard skills.
Okay, so we all agree communication is critical. And when you go and ask professionals to rate their own abilities, they feel pretty good about it. A massive 87.2% rate themselves as highly skilled communicators. They think they've got this totally covered. But, and you knew there was a but coming, when you ask their leaders, the CPOs, to rate their teams on that exact same skill, the number absolutely plummets to 54.4%. And there it is. That's the aha moment. This huge gap between perception and reality, that is the real danger. The biggest threat isn't the technology. It's the lack of human skills we need to manage it. You know,
Acknowledging this gap takes real courage from leaders. I love this quote from a CPO who was just honest with their team about what skills they need in the future. They said, "It's a little scary to put it up there, but generally it's been well received." It turns out that honesty is the first and maybe most important step to closing that gap.
So we've identified the problem. It's a skills gap, not a jobs crisis. The big question now is, what do we do about it? So let's get practical with a 5-step playbook for any leader who wants to build a truly future-ready team. Here's the game plan. First, just be honest. Share the plan for the future with your team. Then, focus on value. Get people off the automatable tasks and onto strategic work, like supplier innovation. Next, you got to assess your skills so you know where the real gaps are. Then, invest in your talent to close those gaps. And finally, build the business case to frame all of this as a strategic investment, not just another cost to be cut.
So all of this really brings us to one final critical question. As we race towards 2026, what's really your greatest asset? Is it the shiny new technology, or is it your team's uniquely human ability to adapt to it? How you answer that is probably going to define the winners and losers of the next decade. Thanks for tuning in.